Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Huddle, the Review.com's weekly high school sports show. I'm Executive Editor Rob Toder of the Alliance Review, joined as always by the sports guru himself, Mike Brown, our sports editor. And Mike, it's hard to believe we've already gone through 2 weeks of the high school football season. Just generally, what has stood out for you?
Well, I think it's one of those kind of years, Rob, where Louisville, and I've said this many times, is on a tier above everybody else in the NBC. The rest of the teams are really going through some transitional years. I think there's some talent with a lot of these teams, but it's going to be a process this year. So, we've got some teams that, are like a lot of teams that are 1-1 right now, and just trying to find a personality on offense and defense, and I think hopefully they will eventually.
Yeah, one of those teams that's 500 are the Alliance Aviators. They've got a big game this week at Barberton, because I think that could determine how the rest of the season goes, because on paper, I would think Alliance is the favorite.
Yes,
they're a little bit stronger program than Barberton, but the Aviators got Campbell was very physical with them last week. And really dominated the second half and played great defense. So I think it's an important bounce back week for the Aviators.
Right, and I think they will. I think Barberton's 0-2 in the season. They have a new head coach, so they're going through some issues up there. Now the game's at Barberton, but I think Alliance, if they play the kind of football I think they can play with those young kids, I think Alliance should win that game, even though it's on the road.
Yeah, it was a tough outing for the Aviators last week. Marlington is 0-2. Had to go back to Crestwood for about a minute and a half of game action on Saturday and came away with their second loss in a row. And it doesn't get any easier for the Dukes.
No, they've got a tough schedule. Marlington's first two opponents are a combined 4-0 on the season. And here they go against St. Tom this week, who's 2-0. So and that'll be a challenge. That's over at Serpilla Stadium. St. Tom's playing well again. They've got a great offense with Meglin, who can just throw it all over the yard. And led them to the playoffs last year, and he's back. So that's going to be another tough challenge for the Dukes, I think. Although I think that'll be a good game. That'll be a close game.
Let's talk about Aquinas a little bit because again. A winning tradition there. They're playoff tested. A lot of those guys were on the basketball team that got to the state Final Four last year. So they're used to winning. They understand what it takes to be successful.
Right. The bar's been raised at Aquinas the last few years. Coach Bud's got that program going. And, when you have a talent like Meglin, I just think you're going to have to score points against St. Tom. And even then, look at 2 weeks ago, they'll just outscore you. They can score with anybody around. Now, their defense is younger this year, and they're giving up points. So I think Marlington has to I think they're going to have to score some touchdowns to be in this game, to have a shot, because St. Tom obviously is going to score. They're going to score on anybody.
Let's turn our attention real quickly to the Sebring Trojans and the Western Reserve Blue Devils, both in the ITCL, both 2-0.
Yeah.
Now, the Trojans have a tough assignment this week against Malvern. Malvern comes in 0-2, but that's a deceiving 0-2, I think.
It sure is. They've played two really good teams to start the season, and they're coming off a loss to Western Reserve, and there's no shame in that. Western Reserve is going to be a dynamite football team again this year. They're going to be really good under Andy Hake. So I think Sebring, even though they're 2-0, they haven't played as good a teams so far as Malvern has. So I think Sebring's going to have to play its best game Friday night. They're playing at home, so there's a comfort level there, Rob. But I think Sebring's going to have to play its best game to have a shot to win that thing.
Okay. Western Reserve plays South Range, and that's a game a lot of folks in the Youngstown area are looking forward to as well. Shifting back to the NBC, West Branch is 1-1. They got a victory on the road, a much-needed victory. Yeah. And they've got a Niles team coming in. It's a little beat up and a little hurt. And so that'll be an interesting game for the Warriors as they have their final non-league game of the year. And Louisville looks to bounce back against Ravenna. That's Louisville 1-1, lost to Hoover, and they take on Ravenna, I believe.
Right, they do. They've got the Ravens, and they've played Ravenna for quite a few years now. That's usually been a pretty competitive game. I think Louisville lost a tough one last week to Hoover, but I think when you look at the rest of Louisville's schedule, they're going to be favored in every regular season game they have left in their schedule, and I think they're good there. They've got, like I said before, they've got a great junior class, and that's only going to get better as more and more of those kids play through the course of this season. And I think they're going to be one of our quality playoff teams. come 8-9 weeks from now.
Okay, and West Branch had a good, strong offensive outing last week at Crestview, yeah.
They did. Corey Snyder, what a great game. I think we were talking about before, Rob, something like 356 yards, give or take a yard in there, total offense for Corey Snyder. That's a great performance, and they need that kind of thing. This is a West Branch team that has a lot of kids. They're still young in a lot of spots, but they have 18 starters back. And the big thing for them last week is Mason Hughes, their defensive leader, their emotional leader, got some action in the second half of that game. He's coming back from an injury, didn't play in their week 1 game, and I think that's paramount for them. I think that really helps them this week against a Niles team that's 0-2 and struggling, a young Niles team that has to go on the road to Beloit, and I think West Branch has a chance to get one there Friday night if they play. Now, offensively, it has not been a problem. If they can keep Niles down, and I think if not, they can keep Niles in around 20 points, West Branch has a shot to win that game.
Okay, very good. Make sure you check out the Alliance Review print edition all week. We'll have previews and game coverage, of course, Friday night, and live videos throughout the weekend. And check out thereview.com and also our Twitter feed. We'll have live updates throughout the night. So if you see us at the stadium, make sure you say hello. For Mike Brown, this is Rob Toder.